my name's Courtney. My friends call me Lala. If you've been following my channel for a little while, you noticed that I haven't made videos in a long time. I started my channel back when we moved to Litchfield, Connecticut. We rented the upstairs of an old house, an apartment. It was beautiful, and I was going through a lot of depression, anxiety, a really hard time facing a lot of trauma on my family of origin, and I was about 30 years old, turning 30, and I came to this point where I just kind of realized a lot of things about my life and what I didn't want in it anymore, why I couldn't accept the kind of abuse I couldn't accept towards myself. And so I started this channel as like a healing journey to share simple living and books and beautiful things and tea and art and travel in New England, all these things that I love. And uh, it was a lot of work. I'm a photographer. I'm a professional photographer, so sharing photos is one thing. Editing videos is a whole other ballpark. It was a lot of work. I was very overwhelmed, and so I had to pause the channel for a bit because I was going through, as I said, a lot of mental health struggles. But I'm really glad to say that over the past year, I've been feeling really good. And I know we were moving into Happiness House, is what I called it. I love Vintage Girl book series, and the Adventure Girls is a series I loved, and the third book is the Adventure Girls at Happiness House. And that's what I wanted for myself. I wanted happiness and contentment, and so that move was a big step in that direction and getting my life back on track, and it worked magnificently. I'm very happy, but of course it's not place, right? It's who you're with, it's what you're doing, it's how you feel about yourself. So I put in all the work, and unfortunately the house sold, and it sold to someone who wanted to raise our rent $500 extra, so we moved. And I thought it was a perfect time to get this channel restarted. We moved to this beautiful little cottage. It's 7 minutes down the road from where we were before. We're still in town. We're at this beautiful nature. This is our backyard. It's a bit sunny and windy right now. A thunderstorm is on the way, so I'm trying to be out here as much as I can. But anyway, in this video, I wanted to share our move to the cottage, leaving Happiness House. I have our 5th wedding anniversary. I can't believe Matthew and I have been married 5 years already. But we went to Quebec City for our anniversary. It was a cold, rainy weekend, but it was actually magnificent. The only thing I wish is that I packed warmer clothes. I was not prepared for how cold it was going to be. But it was a beautiful trip, and I want to share that with you. If that's not your thing, skip ahead. It's going to be a long video because I have so much to tell you. Not only did we just move, I started a new job a few months ago. I'm still on a waiting list for a photo studio. That's the ultimate dream. But I'm working for a company that does art programming and art camps and after-school programs for kids, especially kids in underfunded areas. So it's been magnificent. I'm learning a lot. Let's see, we also got a new cat. His name's Monet, after the French painter. He's a white Persian with one blue eye and one green eye. Ooh, this wind, that thunderstorm is coming. Okay. It's still so sunny though. I'm supposed to go to the book club tonight, and I'm really sad to cancel, but the storm is coming, and so I'm going to have to postpone it. One of the books we are actually going to read for our book club and discuss today is Elizabeth and Her German Garden. If you want to skip ahead to the end of this video, I'll be sharing summer book recommendations. The wind! Of course, I start a video and everything goes wrong, right? But I mean, YouTube's not about being perfect. I wanted to share this channel to share real life and wonderful things, and this is a part of the video at all. It's thunderstorms and rain. But Elizabeth and Her German Garden is a magnificent book. It's the first book written by Elizabeth von Arnim. She's the author of The Enchanted April. If you follow my blog, livelovelytravel.com, you know I loved that book. So this is her first book. It was published anonymously, and it is fiction, but it's written like a diary, which is pretty cool. I love gardening books, but this one's about what it's like to be a woman, a wife, and a mother at the end of the 1800s and the early 1900s. And she's not completely happy that her childhood home, because she's a female, she can't inherit the property, so it goes to her cousin. And although she admits through no fault of her cousins, it goes to him, she's still angry and holds a grudge, which I don't blame her. I'd probably do the same thing. And so she's starting over with her her husband, her 3 children, and she refers to her husband as the man of wrath. I have a feeling he's a very strict person and he kind of treats her like a child, um, as it was in that time period in many cases, not all, but in her case it definitely was. And she has 3 kids and she finds it very exhausting. She's definitely an introvert, so if you're an introvert, if you love gardening books, this is about her moving to Germany with her family and restarting her garden and finding herself in solstice, and it's really lovely. And so skip ahead to the end and I'll share all sorts of summer book recommendations from romance and gardening books and everything in between. Matthew's weed whacking. So I just laid out the garden beds. Yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna put my garden. It's a little bit of a hill, but it's only flat in the middle of the yard, which looks silly. And I'll figure that out. But wow, that's so pretty. And then over here, Matthew mowed a path. This is gonna be where our dinner table is gonna go. We're gonna have beautiful dinners right here.
for breakfast.
I was hungry. That is actually a pretty cool breakfast. Hi, honey.
Rue Sainte-Anne. Really nice. Red roof. Dommage.
It's beautiful, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Merci.
This guy's an animal. Literally. So stand back, we're gonna find her.
Like, ready? Aim.
Yep.
When do you guys come back? Oh, you drive back tomorrow? Okay.
feels like a winter wonderland in here. Are you helping me pack for our move? You're so cute, Monet. It is Tuesday, and it is the second trip I've made tonight after work. I had 4 meetings today. It was a long day, and in between and on my lunch break, I packed up some boxes, made a trip here, and now I'm making another trip here. I have all sorts of random stuff. I have my wedding gown in the car. I have pantry items, kitchen items, a mirror, a lemon tree, and some frozen fruit from my freezer that's going in the freezer here. If all goes well, I'll make one more trip tonight. I'll do a trip or two tomorrow after work as well. And then I took Thursday off. And the big move's on Saturday. So I'm exhausted, but it'll feel good. Thank you guys for helping me pack. This is the back door. First sunroom. The second sunroom. Matthew's gonna repair and paint in here. Oh, the downstairs. This is the basement. This is actually not an extra kitchen. It was going to be, but there's no sink or anything. But there is a refrigerator. We're gonna make this our craft section. It's gonna be all craft materials and hobbies. Let's take a look. Ooh, closet under the stairs. Nice. Oh, here's the second bathroom. This is the one downstairs. We can make this cute. The garage. I know they're still moving stuff, but this will be almost ready for move-in. Where's the washer and dryer? I was told it's in the garage. Oh, maybe in here. Oh, okay. That is actually pretty neat. Does the light work? Where's the light? Ah, pretty cool. All right. Okay, let's go back upstairs. Okay, here's the pretty part. Wow, look at this light in the afternoon. Oh, oh heavens, this is amazing. The cats are gonna love this bay window. And this view has the best sunsets. So this will be the living room. The kitchen. The upstairs bathroom. It's very blue in here. It's even brighter than it looks like in my phone. So much space though. Matthew's really excited about these him and her sinks. So I'm probably gonna do a removable wallpaper in here. That'd be fun. Closet for the vacuum cleaner. The master bedroom with 2 closets. This one's gonna be perfect for Matthew's shirts. Oh yeah, he's gonna love that. This will be for my dresses. The second room is going to be our home library and office because it's the smallest room, but I could fit like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 bookcases on this wall. Extra storage. Here we have the guest room. I'm going to put our guest bed in here. Closet. Attic. And then this is where the dining room table is gonna go. And I'll have to find, where am I gonna put my corner cabinet? I don't think it could go there because of the heater. I'll figure it out. We'll figure this out. And then the front porch. But most importantly, this beautiful yard, which I will garden in. You have no idea we're moving yet, but are you gonna miss this room? Is this where you spend most of your free time? This is the guest room. I really am gonna be sad missing this space. It has a pull-out bed. I've been using this as my dressing room since we don't have guests very often. Madeline knows something's up, but she doesn't know what. And here we have my hat corner. It was actually quite perfect. Aww. Hey, beautiful. Look at you two on the same bed. Monet? It was just a shadow, silly. I'm the most sad about packing up right now. Monet's exploring because I just vacuumed. But yeah, this is the library, our home library. Matthew's office is over here, so you know I don't want to nosy on up in his business, but we have our wedding painting. What's up, Monet? Here's Matthew's home office and our home library. This is, I think, Madeline's favorite room. Yeah, are you gonna miss it? I think she's gonna miss it as much as I will. Second project, actually probably third project of the day. I got these little pegs so I could put up this shelf here in the new pantry. They're pretty icky looking, so I got this liner. I'm gonna just line them. A little lemon print, just so it looks a little cleaner and I could put stuff away. So the pegs I got were the right size, but some of the holes are smaller than others, so I need to get a size down. I started lining, and I'm gonna, I think, hot glue this down so it wraps around the edges like that. I think it already looks a lot better than it was. And I'm gonna pick up one more roll so that I could get the bottom over there too, instead of just the shelves. Much better. I just captured a pantry spider and relocated it. I'm gonna fill up the pantry now and then run home and pack up more books. just bought these sunflowers here today. And then just now, our landlady dropped off these sunflowers that she grew from seeds. How funny is that? So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 new sunflowers. With these 4, 10 sunflowers. I think they're 2 different varieties. Light. I'd say that's a good sign.
Nice green and brown.
Sign of luck. Well, tried to jump into the door. If you open it, he's gonna try to go in. It is my lunch break. It is a gorgeous day, so I'm going to plant some of my herbs. I can't plant my vegetable garden just yet, so I'm going to do the herbs now in these pots I have on the ground, and put them hopefully around the garden once the garden's all set. Thank you for hanging in there if you watched the whole video. If you skipped ahead for the book recommendations, I'm jumping right in. I thought I would start with the gardening books. Here we go. Alrighty. So I already mentioned Elizabeth von Arnon's Elizabeth and Her German Garden. And so I'm skipping right ahead to My Summer in a Garden. And this one is by Warner. Let's see, it's by Charles Dudley Warner. It's from the 1800s, 1885. Sweetie. Give me a minute. So this one is My Summer in a Garden. It's by, I know the last name's Warner. It's Charles Dudley Warner. It's from 1886. It's just absolutely lovely. I found it at the Cazenovia, New York, their library bookstore. And it's all, again, about a gentleman with his garden, 1800s. It's charming. I love that it's pretty sure it's a New England book, or at least in New York. So it's this area. And, I'm just really loving these old vintage gardening books. They're just lovely stories. If you're not into it, I've got tons of other books, don't worry. I'm also reading, again on the garden kick, French Dirt, The Story of the Garden in the South of France by Richard Goodman. It's also a lovely book if you like reading about travel. He travels to France with his girlfriend at the time back in the 90s, and they end up staying in this tiny little village, and 6 months in, he starts a garden. A man from New York City who'd never gardened becomes a gardener and how it changed his view on things and how he feels connected to the land. Already started, super cute book, love it. So French Dirt, highly recommend. Another one I picked up recently from the Hickory Stick Bookshop. The Hickory Stick is a bookstore in Washington Depot, Connecticut. It's the cutest little brick building. I'll have to show it to you sometime. And they sell also a lot of like local authors. This book is written by a woman in Sharon, Connecticut. Again, she was from the city, moved to the countryside in Connecticut, and started a garden. And her house had this very narrow, long yard, and it was ugly, and she's like, I gotta do something with this. And so it's about how she transforms that plot of land into her beautiful oasis. And I'm really inspired by that. I mean, I know this is a rental, but we are putting a lot of work into the yard. It was very overgrown when we moved in. The grass was like up to my waist almost. And Matthew's mowed the lawn, paved ways. We put in a vegetable garden that the deer have already gotten into. I need a fence. It's next on my list. But I'm just really enjoying reading about other people in their gardens. It's inspiring me for mine. And the last gardening book, Beginner Gardening. I mean, I have a lot of know-how, but this has a lot of tips that maybe I just didn't learn when I was younger. About everything from hydrangeas and flowers to vegetables and raised garden beds and lawns. It's just a really good book. So I also read a lot of magazines, and I figured I would share those with you now because, again, sorry, my chair is super creaky. It's a very old thrifted chair. But in her garden, there's a theme here. If you're not a garden person, I swear I have great books coming. But in her garden's been lovely. It's about all these different women in their gardens. A lot of famous bloggers you may follow are in here if you like cottagecore. Lovely read. It's out all summer. Let's see. Yeah, display until September 29th. So if you live in the States, if you're near Barnes & Noble, you should be able to find this. It's a fun read. And of course, Bella Grace is my favorite magazine. It's written by women, for women. It's all the readers. So it's submissions of people's photographs, their quotes, poems, lists, short stories. It's just always like just charming. And they have one comes out every season. And for anyone who's a cottagecore lover, this one's definitely for you. If you love photography, if you love feeling of paper and journaling prompts. It says, we believe an ordinary life can be extraordinary. There is beauty in imperfection, and that magic can be found in the everyday. And that's their manifesto. So highly recommend this magazine if you're a magazine person, or even if you're not a magazine person. It's just beautiful. If you love photography, if you love writing, you may even want to submit something and get it in a future publication. So it's written by the readers. I'm thinking about even submitting something one day. I also have a couple fantasy books. Despite my big pile of books and recommendations, I have actually been on a bit of a reading slump. I think it's just so much transition, starting the new job, moving. I was just feeling antsy and overwhelmed, and it was kind of hard to sit and just focus on a story. And so I thought I'd read a fantasy again because fantasy was my jam back in the day. And I was thinking maybe I'm just reading too many of the same genre books, that maybe I'm reading too many just contemporary romances, and that I need to get out of the box again. So I picked up The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah. So it's about this woman. She's a criminal because she steals magic and sells it. And so magic is kind of like forbidden. It's kind of hard to, because I haven't read the story, it's kind of hard to explain it. I don't quite know. But it says Luli Al-Nazari is the Midnight Merchant, a criminal who, with the help of her Jinn bodyguard, hunts and sells illegal magic. When she saves the life of a cowardly prince, she draws the attention of his powerful father, the Sultan, who blackmails her into finding an ancient lamp. Kind of sounds like Aladdin. With no choice but to obey or be executed, Luli journeys with the Sultan's oldest son to find the artifact. In a world where story is reality and illusion is truth, Luli will discover that everything, her enemy, her magic, even her own past, is not what it seems. and I have to say I already read the first few pages and it was very captivating. So if you're not a fantasy person, this might be the book that gets you into it. Books too, like The Princess Bride or Stardust by Neil Gaiman, those books, I don't think you have to be a fantasy lover to enjoy them. They're just so beautiful and imaginative, and it just kind of sparks this ignite in love for reading. And so I have a feeling this book will do the same. Another book on the list is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know this author, but the cover is really pretty, and it's inspired by, oh, look at this inside, right? But it is inspired by The Princess Bride, and the author wrote this for his wife, and he wrote, "Dear reader, I started writing this in secret as a novel just for my wife. She urged me to share it with the world, and alongside 3 other secret novels with the support of readers worldwide, it grew into the biggest Kickstarter campaign of all time." And so it has quite the following already. I'm almost halfway through. So far I'm liking it. This is a book about, a young girl who ends up saving the boy instead of the other way around. So it's kind of fun that way. It's very imaginative. It's in this fantasy world, and she collects teacups, which I love teacups, so it's kind of fun. I will say, even though it is written for adults, it's about teenagers, and it kind of is written in a way, like, I feel like it's more of a young adult book. It's not an adult book. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's an adult book, but most of the reviews I've read are people like, it seems more of a kid's story the way it's written, and I kind of have to agree. Doesn't mean it's any less fun. But yeah, so I think you'll have to read it and see for yourself, and I haven't finished it yet, so I can't tell you exactly. All right, so I've got my contemporary books. Are you ready? The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. This is a Netflix movie. That's a long title. I know it's been a popular book for a while. I haven't read it, but I actually found out it was inspired by, after I bought Elizabeth in Her German Garden, I was reading about Elizabeth in Her German Garden, and it's the book that inspired this one. So it's written as like letters back and forth. The whole thing. It takes place in 1946 during the World War. It says writer Julia Ashton receives a letter from a stranger, a founding member of the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. And so begins a remarkable tale of the island of Guernsey during the German occupation and of a society as extraordinary as its name. That's all I know about it. I know it's like a war novel, and it's written in letters, but it's supposed to be lovely and about friendships, and, I needed something that wasn't just a romance, but a new fiction novel. Ooh, here's my big stack. Okay, so it's Meet Me at the Lake, a romance novel. This woman has this beautiful romance with a young man at the lake. They're supposed to meet up, and he doesn't show up. So years later, he comes back into her life, and so it's about how they reconnect after they had this magical summer moment, this beautiful romance, and then it poof, disappeared, and what has happened since. But I picked it up because it says Meet Me at the Lake. I grew up on Lake Zor in Southbury, Connecticut, and so this feels very nostalgic and very summer to me, and like a perfect lake read. I also picked up The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. She's the one that wrote, what is it called? The Dead Romantics. And I loved it. It was such a fun book, so imaginative, that, she could write about anything and I'll want to read it. So I don't know too much about this book yet. All I know is that it was written by Ashley Poston, and she wrote The Dead Romantics, and I loved it. So I had to pick this one up. It's definitely on my summer reading list. And then The Kindred Spirits Supper Club, a romance. Again, I don't really know too much about these ones, but this one's, let's see. Yeah, it's about a woman that could also see spirits just like the Dead Romantics. And
I just thought that book was so much fun that this might be something kind of similar and kind of on that vibe. So if you like the Dead Romantics, you might want to check out the Kindred Spirits Supper Club. It is a romance with a woman who could see ghosts. If you're into spooky summer stuff and if you're wishing for fall, which I understand everyone's love and obsession with fall, but I'm very much a summer girl and I'm very much of in the season. So if it's spring, I'm loving spring. If it's summer, I'm living summer. If it's autumn, then I'll be celebrating autumn. But I'm a summer girl, so. But for my autumn girlies, this one's for you. Also, The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie. The cover is just so summery. It's supposed to be a really uplifting romance novel. It says it's about a heartbroken young pie maker who is granted a magical second chance to live the life she did not choose, from the best-selling author of The Enlightenment of Bees. So she makes pies, and she ends up getting this chance to go back and kind of relive some choices she made. It says, as Lolly's 33rd birthday approaches, I just turned 33, so that's fun. Her quirky great aunt gives her a mysterious gift, 3 lemon drops, each of which allows her to live a single day in a life that might have been hers. What if her mom had not passed away? What if she had opened her own restaurant in England? What if she had not broken up with the only man she has ever loved? Surprising and empowering, each experience helps Lolly let go of her regrets and realize the key to transforming her life lies not in redoing her past, but having the courage to embrace her present. So that sounds fun, and it just looks so magical and so summery. So my magic girlies, you may also like this one too. And the last of the contemporary romance is The Rehearsals. This one's about a couple that ends up breaking up at their rehearsal dinner, and then they wake up and have to relive that awful rehearsal dinner day over and over and over again, like Groundhog Day. And so it sounds really funny, and it's a romance of, I guess, falling in love with someone who you're already in love with and had a bit of a falling out or stress, and it's about coming back, I guess, to yourselves and to yourselves as a couple. So it sounded really cute. And the final book that I'm going to recommend right now is An American in Provence. This is beautiful. I love this book. I read it before bed. I read it in the morning. It's by an American woman named Jamie Beck, who I follow on Instagram. And she's a photographer. She photographs a lot of food and a lot of flowers. And she also does a lot of self-portraits as well. And she just found happiness by moving to France. And you don't have to move to France to find happiness. You really don't. I love France. I've dreamed of moving to France. Maybe that's why this book is so appealing. I love her photography. But she was living in New York City. She was this famous, not a famous, but a well-off photographer. She was making lots of money, had the dream apartment, living the life, but she was very stressed and very unhappy and miserable. And so she ended up getting on a plane, going to Provence for a little while in France to take a break, rented this tiny little cottage, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and just focused on her photography and healing her mental health. And I just love that journey. And she ended up finding love, moving there permanently, doing her photography there permanently, and having a daughter. So it's just beautiful. It's a gorgeous book, a beautiful read. And anyway, I hope that some of those books might be fun summer reads for you. And thank you for being here. I will be sharing a lot more books, I promise. And yeah, have a wonderful, wonderful, lovely day.
Good morning. It is my first morning walk at the new place. This is my landlord's property right here behind me. A lot of people park here to watch the sunset in town because it is spectacular. But yeah, I love this road. And at the end of the road is the daffodil field in the spring. So I'm going to definitely be walking that like every morning when the daffodils are in bloom. So this road is beautiful. I'm enjoying walking very much. I'm trying to decide though if I'm gonna want to bike it because it's quite the steep hill. And I'm near the bottom of it, so it just keeps going up to get back to the house. So going down will be fun, but going home, I don't know. We'll see, I guess. If I were to bike it, I wish it was, you know, uphill first and then downhill on the way home instead of the reverse. But yeah, no, I'm really liking this walk and being more surrounded by nature. I mean, we live off of a pretty busy main road, but we have this quiet road right next to it, and it's just been beautiful.